Hello and welcome to the Four County Real Estate Show. I'm your host, Kevin Carey with Caliber Home Loans. I have Peggy Magnanelli with Remax Results here in Frederick with me today. Welcome, Peggy.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so if you've been following the show, you've been following the market at all we've been saying all along is low inventory, great time to sell, multiple offers, all that stuff. So obviously with multiple offers and escalations come potentially some appraisal issues, things of that nature. And what we mean by that is, let's say the house was on the market for $450. Multiple offers, people are bidding, right? So they're bidding above the asking price.
Correct.
Of that $450, trying to win the bid from anywhere. It can be as little as 5 to sometimes as many as 25. It just all depends on the house, depends on the area. So let's say, Peggy, house goes on the market for $450. It escalates up to $525.
Right.
Okay, so I'm the winning bid. I get it for $525, so my down payment closing costs are all based off of $525.
Correct.
Talk to me, what happens if the house doesn't appraise? Let's say it only appraises for $500,
Right.
not the $525. What does that mean?
Well, there's a couple of things that it means. You're going to have the conversation with the seller to either ask the seller to reduce the price to the appraised value, or if you've already negotiated this up front, which in a lot of cases we're doing, you're paying the difference in cash between the appraised value and the contract price,
Right.
which a lot of people are doing, and that's how they're winning their bids.
Right. So what that means from a lending side is that, look, we only lend on the appraised value or sales price, whichever is lower. So let's say you win the contract for $525, the house only appraises for $500. Your down payment and closing costs with us are going to be based on the $500. And when you're waiving that appraisal contingency, it means that you will bring, let's say for $500, down payment and closing costs, let's say are $70,000, just for conversation. But now you have to bring an additional $25,000 above the down payment and closing costs to make up the difference when you waive your appraisal contingency.
Right.
So now all of a sudden you're having to get into the house for maybe $90,000 to $95,000 for down payment, closing costs, and the extra $25,000 to make up the difference. Is that correct?
This is correct.
Yeah. So when you're out there right now, understand it's competitive.
It's
right?
very competitive.
And when you're writing an offer, one of the major contingencies is appraisal. Another one is financing, but we're talking about appraisal right now. So when your agent talks to you about waiving the appraisal contingency, that's exactly what we're talking about here. You're taking on the risk that if the house doesn't appraise based on what you want to offer or what the winning bid is, you potentially are going to have to make up the difference in cash on top of the down payment and closing costs.
Exactly. And there are ways to actually tell the seller how far you're willing to go.
Okay.
So what I do with most of my buyers is we have this conversation when we're looking at escalating. And I ask them, okay, so the house is priced at $450. We go at $485. What happens if the house only appraises for $475? Are you willing to pay that $10,000 difference?
Right.
If you are, that's going to mean a lot to the seller, that you're not going to come back and say, hey, I want you to reduce the price to $475. A lot of agents are not having those conversations. So they're just putting in the escalation clauses and they're escalating to outrageous numbers, and the houses are not going to appraise because there's no comps.
Right.
There's nothing to support it. And that's what the appraisers have to go by. They have to find out something that's going to support that number.
Right. So listen, if you're a buyer right now in this market, you're looking for a professional agent who's going to explain to you the ins and outs, the pros and cons, making sure you know all the information you need before you put your John Hancock on a contract. Make sure you reach out to Peggy. Her contact information is behind me. Peggy, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
And listen, we hope you guys have a great day. If you like this show, please hit the subscribe button at the bottom. All right? Thanks a lot. All right,
Thanks.
bye-bye.